Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today, I want to talk to you about expectations. The reason why expectations are so difficult is that when we expect things to happen and they don't, we could feel disappointed, we could feel hurt. But what we fail to realize is expectations are often a story that we write about how we think life will move forward, what we think will happen next. And there's nothing wrong with having goals or having dreams, but when we expect something, it takes so much from our lives. This reminds me of a dinner that I had with my parents the other night. I was so excited to take them to one of my favorite Japanese restaurants. And as soon as we got there, my mother didn't like the table we were sitting at. She expected the restaurant to be nicer, and she expected it not to be so loud. And I know my parents are in their 80s and they have a lot of physical discomforts. And I watched how her disappointment kept taking her out of the moment. She wasn't enjoying the tea we were drinking. She didn't enjoy the appetizers because she was focused on she didn't like where we were sitting. And then my father, when he was eating his sushi, yes, I have an 86-year-old father who loves sushi. He was comparing it to the sushi that he usually gets in Florida. And I think he was disappointed because it didn't meet his expectation. And it's not that we had a bad time, we had a really nice time. But I saw these little pieces of expectation, pull them from the moment, and create dissatisfaction. That's what expectations do in our lives. They create dissatisfaction. They create this narrative that things are not working out. Another thing that expectations do in our lives, it doesn't allow us to even see the wonder of the moment because we think that life will always be one way. I'm always going to wake up in the morning and my husband's going to be there, or my wife, or my boyfriend, or my girlfriend. I'm going to eat this for breakfast. I'm going to drive to work. My job is always going to be there. It's like we don't see the uniqueness and the specialness of everything because we think this is just our life and this is what we have. But if you speak to people who have suffered great losses, whether it be loved ones or homes, other valuables or jobs, they can often see it. They often have certain regrets of not being more present, more mindful, more appreciative of what they had when they had it. And I know many of you have probably heard this idea before, but there's such a truth to it. There's such a truth to just not expecting anything and waking up in the morning and moving your feet and putting your feet on the ground and seeing the miracle of it. If you're able to see the miracle of every moment and not just expect it, not to think it's just coming to you, you're going to have a happier life. Because so many things have to come together every day for us to have everything that we have or anything that we have. So to cultivate that preciousness, that miracle every moment, it changes the quality of your life. The third issue is that expectations also lead to broken ideas. I've had people come to me with businesses and they've told me my business is not working out because I expected to have this much in sales and I don't have this and my employee left. But what they don't realize is that often it's just a broken idea of what you thought would be. And sometimes their businesses are filled with potential and possibilities. It's just different things need to happen. And sometimes relationships, there's so much disappointment from those expectations. There's a broken idea of who you thought this person was. But it doesn't mean that there's still not a relationship to be had. Sometimes we don't even have a broken heart. It's just a broken idea of what we thought would happen. So what can we do? How can we stop our expectations from stealing the moment? How can we stop our expectations from blocking the miracles in our life? And how can we stop our expectations from creating possibly a distorted view of what our life really looks like today? And to prevent it from blocking all that's possible and all the opportunities. And like most exercises that I present on this podcast, the first thing is we need to try to be aware. We need to try to enter each moment with an openness. Every time I go to a restaurant, every time I try something new, every time I go to work, I try to just be open and curious and not expect my meal or my day is going to be a certain way. This way, I don't get uptight, I don't get rigid. I allow an experience to unfold. Now, I'm not going to go to a restaurant and eat a meal that tastes bad because I committed to no expectation. I'm still going to honor my likes and my dislikes, but it's important to try not to fixate on things having to be a certain way. Because sometimes the restaurant could look a little shabby and the meal could be great. Or the meal could be awful, but the company could be great. And when you don't create these high expectations, you're just going to go with the flow more and see how life unfolds. And the second thing you could do is work on this idea that everything in your life will always be there. And I don't say that to be upsetting. I say it so you could really understand the miracle, everything you have in your life. The miracle of a friend, the miracle of food, a job, a car, a tree, whatever it is. Expectations cause us to take everything in our life for granted. And when we drop them, we see every miracle. You see the wonder in everything that's around you. And it's probably one of the most poignant and beautiful, most fulfilling things you could do in your life. And the third thing, which is also really important, is to separate what's real and what's a broken idea. If it's your business, you have to try to find a way to evaluate it without the disappointment it didn't work out the way you thought it was going to. If you don't get a job that you thought you were going to get, it doesn't mean anything's broken. It was just an expectation. Most likely, there's still a wonderful job waiting for you somewhere. You just have to keep moving forward. And sometimes we have a relationship and it ends, and we get so stuck on what we thought we would have together, the life we thought we'd have, the family we thought we'd have. And when it's over, yes, there's often heartache, but over time, the heart heals, and sometimes the broken idea remains, and it's very hard to move through it and past it if you're not willing to let it go. If you keep talking about this should have happened and this is how it was supposed to be, and everything is broken, that idea is going to block you from new things coming into your life, new hopes, new possibilities, new opportunities, new love. So I guess we can say if we expect less, we get more. More presence, more appreciation, more miracles, more wonders. And when you're not so busy fixating on a broken idea, you're going to look at your business, you're going to look at your love life, you're going to look at everything in your life with an expansive view because there's nothing holding you back. When you see that there's nothing broken and you're intact, and I'm not saying that there's not some heartache and there's not some suffering, but if you allow yourself to drop how you thought things would be, you will be more open to create the life that you truly desire. Or you allow the life in front of you to unfold in all its beauty and in all its wonder. Often we're living our best life and we can't even see it because of all the stories and all the expectations and all the fear that we're not going to be okay. But life doesn't have to happen the way you thought it was going to happen for you to be okay. There are so many ways to be okay. There are so many paths. There are so many different ways our lives can move forward if we're open enough to let it all happen. When you drop your expectations, you find your strength, you find your resilience, and you live with an open heart that will always lead you to your best life. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to read my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major retailers and online bookstores. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe on iTunes and leave a comment.